Hello, everyone. So today I am going to talk about grieving that imaginary mother figure you have inside your mind and also taking accountability. I'll be sharing my experience about me trying to open up to my mom about my dysphoria and talk about my reflection along the way. So, around 2 years ago, early springtime, I was not in a very good position, and one day when I was on the car with my mom, I decided to tell her about, like recent years I have been like struggling with my gender dysphoria. So I told her about that, and it was not a good reaction at all. Originally she was driving me to the bus so that I could go to work. And when I talked to her about that, she didn't react well at all, and she basically started like saying a lot of like hurtful things and also being a bit aggressive. And during the time, I felt so defenseless, and I was just like holding myself in like a fetal position, and I felt not safe at all. And I just get off the car once I arrived to that bus station, and I get on the bus, and I had to work. And that was the experience. And since then, I didn't really tell my mom any like personal thing ever again because it was a very painful experience. And yeah, and going back to 2026, which is this year, 2 months ago, basically, one day my mom was like telling some transphobic jokes when I got home, but then I become like emotionally dysregulated. Then later on, I just went to the park to cool down a bit, and my mom came and we started talking. Originally, everything went quite well. I started by asking her question about her past, and I listened to her story attentively, and asked follow-up questions about her experience, and also, yeah, with her dad. Then I thought, like, maybe there's a chance, like, we might able to like have true connections and conversation. But oh boy, I was like horribly wrong. I raced back that time when I was sharing her about my gender dysphoria issue to her and told her about how it really hurt me a lot, and I hope that we could maybe talk about it. But then she just started laughing, and I was like asking why, but there was like no explanation at all. And then I also like told her about like my unaliving thoughts, but she was like not being serious at all. Like she was like laughing, and it broke me a lot. And like she was clearly not listening. Like when I told her about my transness and like trying to like elaborate some of my feelings and also my analyzing thoughts, like she did not listen, but he just kept having that monologue. Like she was giving me like speeches about, you know, it will pass, not a big deal. Just told me not to think about it, and as well as like trying to have a very long speech and like not allowing me to speak at all. Then I just asked her like to what extent or what point will you like finally listened. She did say something, but it was like mumbling. And but then I became so sad and like angry, and I walked away. And since that experience, now it's like July, I've felt even more disconnected with her. I cannot even look at her, not because of shame, but like a deep sense of like sadness and resentment and betrayal and disappointment because of what happened. I just cannot bring myself to speak to her because it just hurts. And the even more bitter thing, the ev- and the more bitter thing is that after that experience, she could, however, still act as if nothing had happened at all. Like this fight was never raised again. There were never apology. We never like talked about it, you know. And till now, whenever she came back or when I come back home and she's sitting here, like she would just act very friendly and all those things, which is like none. I just felt like as if I was like hallucinating and was like crazy the whole time, like being so insistent on the thing. And the thing is, like, to be honest, this isn't like not the first time that we have fights and things are not addressed, and it's not the first time. But the very reason why I thought that I would react very strongly is because deep inside I care and I really hope that I will have that mother figure and we will like address, we talked about it truthfully like an adult. But after many years of trying to like connect with her about this thing, it's not possible. And yeah, I remember like my sister and I having many conversations about our parents, and I was like warned by her many times a few years back then about like not having any expectation to your parents when it comes to like talking about emotions, feelings, because they're simply not capable of providing that, and it will just lead to disappointment. And a few years back then, I still insist like, no, she's a changed person, like she can do it. I still have that hope, like after all, like she is my mother, like she is the one that raised me. I mean, it was like last year when I started going back to my past and like process some emotion where I start telling myself not to have any expectation so that there will be no disappointment. At first, everything was well, like it went quite well. I still could remain a relative good distance and boundary between me and my mom. But the cause is that I felt disconnected and invisible, between me and her, because it's just like I cannot act normal and authentic in front of my mom. I cannot act normal and authentic in front of her. I just have to remain a very superficial persona in front of her. That's it, you know. And like on hindsight, I knew like telling my mom about my gender dysphoria, trying to address what we left off that time, were not a good idea at all. Things beside these accident like it proved multiple times that she's just someone just incapable in having a civil and adult and respectful conversation, and I'm just hitting myself to the wall. But somehow that small hope that I felt during that night that we have that conversation made me fall to that trap and got myself hurt once again. It was just like stupid. But I still have to tell myself that, looking back, it is completely normal to feel like wanting to talk to a mother figure about your feelings, because I really believe that every single person, every single child inside their head, they have that, deep yearning for a father and a mother figure. But sometimes the reality is not like that. So, my mom used to have a tiny Maltese called Picnic. He somehow looks like mom, like weird, antisocial, but very cute, emo, but also has that, that innocent child like look in their faces, but also that deep pain look in their faces. I cannot really describe. But yeah, my sister just told me, like, whenever you are angry and disappointed in mom, well, just look at her as if she's like Picnic. And I start to see the reason why you have to do that, like in a way of, coping, of course. But also it's a way of really accepting the fact that while it is normal and completely okay to have that yearning for a mother figure and father figure, you have to let go that you may not have that figure in your life. And it literally felt like a grieving process of accepting the fact that that symbolic, that abstract imaginary mom or father is symbolically not there or dead, And this is basically what I have been like dealing with psychologically inside in these 2 years as I reflect my relationship with my mom. And like there's a reason why I would like put a lot of time in doing this reflection is because she is just so fundamental in raising me to be who I am. We spent a lot of time together when we were younger. So she's meant a lot and I still care because I am her child after all. Recently, I've been telling myself to basically accept the fact that I will not have that. So for me, grieving that imaginary mother figure and father figure, it's a very fundamental part of my journey in understanding myself. And also, especially in the context of me finally dealing with that dysphoria part of my life. Now, as I'm more emotionally regulated, I start to have more reflection on trying to like understand from their perspective, for example, because after all, she is quite old and she has their own old belief. When people are older, they are more, they stick more strongly to their own older beliefs, which is, I mean, they're right. However, I also would hold the belief that it doesn't gives you the right to hurt someone or say something that is very nasty, especially when somebody is sharing some very vulnerable part of their stories and their own life. When people are when people are sharing their own emotion, it's never a good thing to make fun of them. And last week, I went to join a peer support group specifically for eating disorder. And in our session, we put our focus on mothers, actually. All of us were talking about their own experiences in having a complicated relationship with our mothers. One of the participants said something about, it's their first time to live on this earth, to become human, and no human is perfect. I know it's kind of normal for a lot of us to have that expectation towards our parents. But here's the thing, it does not remove the accountability of the parents on, spending time and effort in learning how to be a more better parent. It's also their responsibility to learn. But I mean, she has her own, like what the participant said has her own point. It's like nobody is perfect, and of course, if you have that expectation, it's completely normal. But you should also accept the fact that not everyone would have the energy, have the time to take accountability on their behaviors. And yeah, that is a very complicated thing about thinking about your relationship with your parents, because in different life stage, it's normal, for example, for you to gradually build your own life and to gradually detach from your parents, but also to grieve that you will not have that parent figure that you hope to have. Is also another complicated layer that one have to sort of deal with. It will be a fascinating journey. For me, I am 21. It's time for me to learn how to start think about my own values and build a life that I wanted because I'm entering to my prime. I think the most healthy thing to do, especially if one doesn't have a pleasant experience and having a healthy relationship with your parents, is to basically accept the fact, accept the limitations of the relationship between you and your parents, and also see the bright side, appreciate some of the things that they might have done, but also at the same time not to excuse some of the and also not to excuse some of the behaviors that they might exhibit, and also learn from their mistakes. Try to ask yourself, what would you do instead? And going back to the thing is that just don't carry too much anger and resentment towards them. It corrodes. It corrodes you. Don't let them destroy you as an individual. Instead of spending time on like asking like why would they do something that is like hurtful and painful, like maybe spend more time being a bit more kind to yourself, being more kind to them, and also ask yourself like what do you want ultimately, because you are the one that is living your life and you are creating your own future. You're living your prime. Don't let them control your life. This is in some sense also taking accountability, and yeah, and I guess this is what I want to say. Thank you for watching. Bye.